You went quiet. You thought pulling back would make her notice. You believed she'd suddenly realize what she lost. You thought disappearing would shake her world. But nothing happened. She didn't text. She didn't call. She didn't even blink. And now you're sitting there wondering what went wrong. This isn't just silence. This is a wake-up call. The truth is, she doesn't feel your absence because you never gave her anything to miss. Comment, I'm no longer waiting. This will mark the moment everything changes for good. Number 1. You're still attached to the outcome. You're holding on to a fantasy, and that fantasy is killing your progress. You wake up every morning hoping she thought about you last night, maybe checked your old messages, maybe scrolled through your pictures. You're convincing yourself that your absence is making a dent in her world, that somehow the quiet you're creating is echoing in her mind. But it isn't, because she's not replaying the past. You are, and that's the truth that cuts deep. You're still mentally anchored to her, still checking her status, still wondering why she hasn't cracked. You say you're moving on, but your actions expose your heart. You're scrolling, watching, stalking silently, hoping to see a post that might signal she misses you. But it never comes, because she doesn't need closure. She doesn't need your silence. She's already filled the space you left. And the worst part, you trained her to believe she could. You gave her everything, validation, time, consistency, without ever making her earn it. And now you expect absence to create impact. How? She's not suffering because she never had to work for your presence. You gave yourself away, and now you expect her to mourn something she never valued. You're trying to force meaning into a void. You think if you vanish long enough, she'll start romanticizing your memory. But silence without transformation isn't mystery, it's just noise. And in a world where she's surrounded by attention, your noise doesn't even register. You need to understand. This isn't about her anymore. This is about why you placed your sense of identity in someone else's hands to begin with. Why are you breaking yourself for someone who already let go? Why are you anchoring your growth to her validation? The real issue is that you're building your life around being noticed, not around becoming. That's why your so-called silence isn't working, because the energy behind it is still desperate. It's neediness masked as strategy. You're still hoping she gives you permission to move on, permission to feel worthy, permission to believe you matter. But the truth, no one's coming to save you. Not her, not your friends, not your old self. If you want to rebuild, it starts with one decision. You stop waiting. Stop waiting for the text, for the call, for the apology. Take everything you're feeling, the rejection, the confusion, the disappointment, and channel it into construction. Your silence will never be respected if it's born from pain. But if it's born from purpose, everything changes. Have you ever seen someone rise so high that the people who once ignored them now pretend they always cared? That's who you must become. The kind of man who no longer even notices the absence, because his presence is too rooted in what he's building. This is about reclaiming your time, your goals, your purpose. Not because it'll make her notice, but because you were always supposed to be doing this. Start documenting your vision. Break your goals down into daily, non-negotiable steps. Read for 30 minutes a day, even when you don't feel like it. Train your body with intensity. Take cold showers and control your environment. Set your alarm early and don't hit snooze. These are not hacks. These are foundations, and they will slowly rewire your identity. You've been so focused on how to make her notice your absence, but the deeper question is, how do you make your presence so undeniable that you no longer crave hers? That's the transformation. Not waiting for her to value you. Becoming someone who doesn't need to be valued by anyone to feel whole. Because until you let go of the outcome, you're not silent. You're screaming inside for someone else to give you peace. Peace doesn't come from what you avoid. It comes from what you conquer. And right now, your biggest battle is within. You can keep pretending that silence is strength, or you can build a life so strong that you become the standard. The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking, and the world won't wait for you to get it together. The pain you feel now is the price of rebirth. Embrace it, feed off it, use it as fuel, not to get her back, but to get yourself forward. Write it down. I choose progress over pity. I choose presence over absence. I choose purpose over pain. Then act like it, daily. Because the man who detaches from the outcome is the one who finally steps into power. And when you finally step into that power, the kind of power that doesn't ask, doesn't wait, doesn't flinch, you realize you were never supposed to live tied to outcomes. You were meant to lead your own story with clarity and control. If these truths resonate with you, then the Stoic relationship blueprint for men is where your journey truly begins. This isn't just an ebook, it's a complete system rooted in timeless Stoic principles that cut through noise and confusion and give you unshakable clarity in your relationships, your purpose, and your identity as a man. And now it's available in audiobook form, meaning you can start listening to this life-changing blueprint while walking, lifting, or even just clearing your head outside. No more waiting, no more hoping, just real transformation, on your terms, in your hands, forever. Once it's yours for life. No expiration, no subscriptions. The link is in the comments. Grab it, put your headphones in, and take the first step into becoming the man who never needs to chase again. Number 2, she can predict your every move. She's not confused. She's not analyzing your silence. She's not lying awake at night wondering where you went. She knows. She's been here before, many times. You think your absence is unpredictable, but to her, it's just another rerun of the same script. The same man pulling back, trying to create mystery, trying to make her feel the void, and she doesn't. Because she knows your pattern better than you do. She knows that you're waiting. She knows that behind your silence is still the same man craving her validation. And the worst part? She's not even curious anymore, because she's seen the cracks. She's seen the inconsistencies. She's seen the emotional reactions disguised as discipline. She's not impressed by your restraint, because to her, it's not strength, it's manipulation. And predictable manipulation isn't power, it's weakness. You told yourself that if you held out long enough, she'd chase, that she'd reach a point of emotional breaking. But the truth, she's not chasing because you're still orbiting her energy. She doesn't have to do anything. You're doing it all for her. You're still checking, still waiting, still hoping. And in her mind, that makes you safe, too available, even when you're silent. You need to become the man who doesn't fit any pattern, the man who doesn't just disappear. He becomes untraceable, not because he blocked her, because he outgrew her. That's real unpredictability. When you're no longer walking in circles, when you're sprinting forward, when you're becoming someone she wouldn't even recognize. Have you ever met someone years after a breakup, and they were unrecognizable? Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. That's who you need to be. Not because it makes her chase, but because it makes you proud. Stop playing games that require her to respond. Start creating outcomes that don't need her approval. When you stop acting based on how she might feel, and start acting based on who you're becoming, your entire life changes. You go from being reactive to being intentional, from being predictable to being magnetic. This is where Stoic principles come in, not by suppressing your feelings, but by mastering your behavior. Every message you want to send, write it, then delete it. Every urge you feel to check her page, use it as a trigger to do 5 push-ups or 5 minutes of deep work. Retrain your brain. Your silence means nothing if it's not paired with real work. Become the man who doesn't just walk away. He levels up so relentlessly that the past version of him feels like a different person. Predictability is the enemy of respect. She can't respect you if she can script you. If she knows what you're going to do before you do it, you're not leading, you're dancing to her rhythm. And the only way to change the dance is to change the music. Start listening to a different soundtrack, one that plays when you read, when you train, when you build, when you win. A soundtrack that doesn't include her applause, because if she's still the audience you're performing for, you've already lost. True unpredictability isn't about shock value, it's about evolution. When you grow so far, so fast, so intensely, that even you can't predict what you'll become next, that's power, and she will feel it. Not because you told her, but because the universe reflects momentum, and momentum cannot be ignored. So ask yourself, are you silent? Or are you still secretly waiting for a round of applause? Are you gone? Or are you still peeking behind the curtain, hoping she notices the show? There is no more time to pretend. This is the part where you either become unrecognizable or remain unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. Do the work, or stay on the stage waiting for a standing ovation that will never come. Number 3, you're not evolving, just waiting. You're sitting there thinking time will do the healing, that if you just sit long enough in the dark, something will shift, but it won't. You believe that disappearing from her life somehow guarantees you'll be remembered. But she doesn't remember absence. She remembers power, and you didn't give her any. What you gave her was comfort, predictability, free validation, and now that it's gone, you expect her to panic. But why would she? You didn't leave a mark. And every day you stay in the same place, staring at your phone, watching her stories, avoiding growth while convincing yourself you're giving space. You bury yourself deeper in a grave she won't visit. You're not silent, you're suspended. You're frozen in the hope that she'll look back, that maybe, just maybe, she'll see your worth in the silence. But that's not how it works. Silence doesn't make you better. Discipline does. Evolution does. And right now, you're not evolving. You're just holding your breath, hoping, waiting, praying. That's not strength. That's dependency. You keep saying you're focusing on yourself, but your screen time says otherwise. Your energy isn't on your future. It's orbiting her shadow. You haven't moved on. You've just paused your desperation and labeled it healing. But healing without forward motion is self-deception. You don't get stronger by waiting for pain to fade. You get stronger by doing the very things that pain tried to stop you from doing. You start waking up earlier. You start training harder. You start learning skills you've been avoiding. You put systems in place so solid that emotions no longer get to vote on your behavior. That's Stoicism. It's not about being numb. It's about moving with direction, regardless of how you feel. It's saying, even though I want to check her page, I'm going to open a book instead. It's choosing long-term dignity over short-term relief. That's the difference between men who grow and men who rot. Men who rot let emotion lead. They let nostalgia dictate their schedule. They stare at the past and wonder why the future looks like hell. But men who grow, they make a list. They break it into micro goals. They track their habits daily. They block distractions. They keep promises to themselves when no one is watching. You keep wondering why you're not improving. It's because you haven't committed to anything except the illusion that time alone will fix it. But time is not therapy. Action is. You must confront your comfort, confront your avoidance. If your room is messy, clean it. If your body is weak, train it. If your mind is foggy, journal. If your days are aimless, plan them. You don't need to become a monk. You just need to stop being a passenger. Life isn't a ride, it's a campaign. And campaigns require strategy, execution, review. You must treat your day like a battleground. What are your weapons? What's your mission? What does victory look like? And most importantly, what does failure look like if you don't evolve? That fear should drive you, because staying the same isn't neutral, it's regression. The world doesn't pause for your heartbreak. She's not pausing, she's smiling, posting, thriving. Not because she's evil, but because she understands what you don't. Emotions without action are chains. They keep you grounded in memory while the world moves on. Stoic principles say, lead your emotions, don't follow them. That means you don't wait for motivation. You show up with intention every single day, even when it hurts, even when it's boring, even when you think it's not working. Because one day, without warning, you'll look back and realize you no longer miss her. You no longer care. You no longer hope. Because your life is now too full, too real, too powerful to make space for someone who didn't make space for you. That's not time healing. That's evolution. Number 4, silence without value is invisible. You think disappearing will make her panic, but she doesn't, because she never associated your presence with value. That's the brutal truth. You were there, but you weren't necessary. You were consistent, but you weren't unforgettable. You gave her attention, affection, reassurance, but none of it required her to invest. None of it cost her anything. So now, when it's gone, there's no absence to feel, because there was no value to begin with. This is the part most men don't want to face. You weren't impactful. You were convenient. You were the emotional butler she never had to pay for. And now that you're gone, she's not lost. She's relieved. Not because you were bad, but because she never earned what you gave. And what is freely given is freely discarded. That's why your silence means nothing, because your presence meant nothing. You didn't set standards. You didn't require reciprocity. You just gave. And now you think pulling back will teach her a lesson. But there's no lesson to learn when the student never valued the class. If you want her to feel your absence, you needed to have been undeniable in your presence. That means you must embody value, not talk about it, not post quotes, not pretend. Embody. Live a life that radiates progress. Become the kind of man that doesn't have to say he's rare. It's obvious. You walk into a room and people feel it, not because of your silence, but because of your certainty, your clarity, your mission. That's what women feel. That's what makes absence hit hard. Not ghosting, not games, power. You want to become unforgettable. Stop being easy. Stop being predictable. Start being excellent. That means tightening your life to the point where every area is aligned with your highest self. Wake up early. Not for Instagram, for war. Train your body, not for aesthetics, for discipline. Build your income, not for flexing, for freedom. Master your emotions, not for others, for self-respect. Read, learn. Compete with yourself. And here's where Stoicism enters. It's the quiet commitment to excellence, regardless of who's watching. Stoicism says, don't perform. Transform. Don't seek applause. Seek alignment. That means your routines don't change whether she's in your life or not. Your mission stays fixed. Your ambition stays fueled. Your value isn't reactive. It's rooted. So what does value look like practically? It's boundaries. It's telling someone no without guilt. It's walking away from disrespect the first time. It's prioritizing your goals over meaningless flings. It's surrounding yourself with high-level people. It's choosing books over gossip, sleep over parties, progress over validation. It's understanding that the moment you need someone to notice your absence is the moment you reveal you were never leading your life. You were outsourcing your self-worth. Stop that. Take your worth back and build it. Slowly, daily, relentlessly. Not to make her jealous, but to become a man that no one forgets. A man who builds so much momentum that the people who once ignored him start pretending they always believed in him. That's not revenge. That's justice. That's what makes silence feel like a thunderclap. Not because of what's missing, but because of what can't be replaced. You're not there anymore, not just physically, but energetically, spiritually. You've outgrown her expectations. You've built a version of yourself that intimidates those who once underestimated you. That's what it means to embody value. And silence? It's just the side effect. Number 5, she doesn't fear losing you. She doesn't fear losing you because deep down, she never believed she truly had to earn you in the first place. And if she didn't earn you, she has nothing to lose. That's the reality you're avoiding. You made yourself so emotionally accessible, so consistently present, so openly available, that she never once had to question whether she could lose you. You were already hers without terms. And anything that's freely given, without challenge, without resistance, without cost, has no weight. You showed up emotionally bankrupt, hoping that by giving endlessly, you'd eventually be noticed. But notice isn't earned through availability. It's earned through impact. You thought being the good guy meant showing her you'd always be there. But what you really did was show her she could walk away at any time, and you'd still be chasing, still hoping, still waiting. And now that you're silent, you expect her to panic. But why would she? You taught her that no matter what she does, you'll still orbit her world. Even if you don't text, even if you don't call, she knows you're still watching, still hurting, still waiting for a crack in her facade. And that knowing makes her feel secure, not shaken. She doesn't fear losing you because you never positioned yourself as a man who could walk away permanently. Your absence still carries the scent of availability. She knows you're one emotional spike away from breaking, and until that changes, until your energy truly detaches, she will feel nothing. That's the harsh truth. You want to create fear. You want her to realize your worth. Then become something she can't predict. You must become untouchable, not through arrogance, but through evolution. You must upgrade every part of your life until the man she once had access to no longer exists. Not because you're playing games, but because you've simply outgrown her. You build a life so full, so focused, so ferociously committed to purpose that your attention is no longer a gift she can take for granted. That's the power she will feel, and that's when fear begins. Not when you vanish for a few days, not when you post gym selfies, not when you fake happiness hoping she sees. Real fear comes when she sees that you've disappeared energetically, when she realizes that her influence no longer shapes your actions, when she feels the shift from orbit to trajectory, a life moving forward with speed and purpose, no longer revolving around her. Have you ever wondered why some men walk away and become legends in her mind, while others fade into nothing? It's not looks, it's not wealth, it's value. The emotional weight they carried, the presence they built, the world they lived in that she couldn't dominate. That's who you must become. A man who is feared not because he threatens, but because his absence is a reminder of what she can no longer reach. That's real fear, the fear of replacement, not because someone else came along, but because the man she once thought would wait forever is now unreachable, not bitter, not loud, just gone, and not just gone from her, gone from who he was with her. That man died the moment he realized that his worth was never hers to measure. You become the kind of man who doesn't just talk about growth, you embody it. And Stoicism becomes your foundation. You no longer react emotionally to her silence. You no longer take breadcrumbs. You no longer chase shadows. You operate on principle. You create routines so strict, disciplines so embedded, that no emotional impulse can shake them. She doesn't get a rise out of you. She doesn't see desperation in your eyes. She doesn't feel you waiting anymore. And that's when it hits. That's when the questions start. Did I lose something rare? Has he changed? Did I underestimate him? But by then, you're not looking back. You've already written the next chapters of your life. You've already created new standards. You've already built a life she doesn't fit in anymore. You go from emotionally dependent to emotionally dominant, not by force, but by distance, discipline, and detachment. And that detachment is earned through pain, through self-awareness, through ruthless self-inventory. You must ask yourself, why did I let someone have so much power over me? Why did I confuse consistency with value? Why did I believe that love meant losing myself? These questions are not weaknesses. They are your blueprint, your roadmap, your initiation into a level of manhood that most never reach. And this isn't about women. This is about you, about your time, your standards, your life. Because the moment you truly value yourself, others have no choice but to feel that value or exit your life. She doesn't fear losing you because you've made yourself easy to regain. Cut that off. Lock the door. Build a fortress of discipline so intense that she doesn't just fear losing you. She fears never finding someone like you again. That's what happens when Stoicism isn't a philosophy, but a lifestyle. When your habits become armor, when your words become scarce, and your actions become undeniable. You no longer chase, you no longer hope, you lead. And leaders are not feared because they threaten. They are feared because they rise without permission. They grow in silence. They detach in peace. They transform without announcement. And suddenly, everything she once overlooked becomes everything she now regrets. But by then, you've already moved on to better things, to people who value without having to be taught, to environments that match your energy, to goals that don't require you to shrink. That's how you flip the dynamic. That's how you make her feel the absence, not by disappearing, but by evolving so far that she disappears from relevance. You want her to fear losing you? Then become someone who can't be replaced, not in memory, not in presence, not in energy, and most importantly, not in purpose. Because once a man lives with unshakable purpose, nothing and no one can pull him off his path. Number 6, you're driven by emotion, not principle. You think you're being disciplined because you haven't reached out. You think restraint is power because you haven't cracked yet. But you're not in control. You're in torment. You're not leading yourself with direction. You're reacting silently. That silence isn't peace. It's pressure building up with nowhere to go. You haven't transcended emotion. You've buried it. And everything you're doing right now, every thought you obsess over, every fake smile you force in public, every second you spend waiting for her to notice you, it's all proof that you're still being run by emotion, not principle. You're not living. You're bracing. Bracing for the day she posts a new man. Bracing for the feeling of rejection to spike again. Bracing for the pain you've been suppressing to explode all over your carefully constructed image of moving on. You've become a prisoner of your own avoidance, confusing emotional silence with emotional mastery. But Stoicism doesn't tell you to feel nothing. It teaches you to act on what's true, not on what hurts. And what's true right now is that your life has become reactive. You're not building from within. You're reacting to everything outside you, to her timeline, to her silence, to your expectations. You're not being principled. You're playing emotional chess, hoping she makes the wrong move so you can finally feel right again. But that's not how freedom is found. That's how dependency grows. Every time you delay your goals because you're too distracted by her updates, you give her power. Every time you fantasize about a reunion while avoiding the work in front of you, you fuel your weakness. And every time you tell yourself you're healing when really you're just avoiding, you make your life smaller, not bigger. What does it mean to be driven by principle? It means you have rules, non-negotiables, codes. You decide who you are, what you do, and why you do it, and you stick to it, even when emotion screams for an exception. You train when you don't want to. You work when you're tired. You level up when it's easier to escape. You honor your time because it's sacred. You build your day not around feelings, but around standards. When emotion whispers, check her page, principle says, you've got work to do. When impulse says, reach out, principle says, she had her chance. When loneliness says, you need her, principle says, you need progress. That's the shift. From emotion-fueled survival to principle-based creation. You become the man who makes no decisions based on weakness, only alignment. She doesn't define your focus anymore. Your purpose does. Your vision does. And this isn't just about her. This is about life. Because how you show up in heartbreak is how you'll show up when things get hard elsewhere. If you fold emotionally now, you'll fold when the business fails, when the opportunity demands pressure, when real life calls for leadership. But if you lead now, if you build now, if you act with honor even when it's hard, you'll become unstoppable. That's why this moment matters more than you think. It's not about her. It's about you proving to yourself that you can lead, you can rebuild, you can become so deeply grounded that not even heartbreak can shake your rhythm. So what does this look like practically? It means structuring your days with ruthless clarity. Wake up early, not for aesthetics, but for advantage. Move your body daily to train pain tolerance. Eliminate distractions. Remove social media that pulls your attention. Replace screen time with skill building. Set weekly goals with deadlines and consequences. Track your progress. Hold yourself to the fire. Speak less. Execute more. Surround yourself with men who live the standard, not the story. Refuse to explain your journey to people who don't live with integrity. Stop negotiating with your old self. Burn the version of you that begged, that waited, that hoped. Because he wasn't living, he was stalling. Now is the time to draw a hard line. No more operating from emotion. No more checking, hoping, reacting. No more surrendering to doubt. You're building something real now, and real doesn't care how you feel. Real cares what you do, because at the end of the day, emotion fades, excuses fade, but excellence remains, discipline remains. The man you become remains, and he only shows up when you stop running and start leading. This isn't about impressing her. This isn't about getting her back. This isn't about being seen. It's about becoming, fully, relentlessly, with no need for permission. Stoicism teaches you to own your path, to move with truth, to make decisions you respect in the mirror, not ones that beg for attention online. She isn't the prize, you are, but only if you live like it. So burn the fantasy, cut the emotional leash, set your principles, and lead. Because your emotions won't make you powerful, but your principles will make you unforgettable. If you're done being the man who waits, who hopes, who suffers in silence while she lives her life unbothered, then this is your moment. You don't need another text that goes unanswered. You need a new standard. The Stoic relationship blueprint isn't just a book. It's the weapon you've been missing, packed with timeless Stoic principles that will shift your mind, your relationships, your life immediately. And now it's available in audiobook, so you can absorb this power while walking, training, even just clearing your head. No more excuses, no more confusion. The link is in the comments. Once you grab it, it's yours forever. No one can take this from you. Comment, I choose truth over validation, if you're ready to step into the life you were meant to lead. Like this video, subscribe, and help more men escape years of regret and self-betrayal.